and welcome to Agribiotech, a program that highlights the importance of biotechnology to agriculture and food security in Nigeria. Our program this week will be focused on biosafety, reasons for it, and how beneficial it has been to agriculture and ultimately the country's goal to achieve food security. So, come along with us on the program as we treat all your basic questions on this topic. I am Lara Afolayan. Advanced technologies like biotechnology may sometimes have adverse side effects. This explains why biosafety is necessary. Biosafety is the use of knowledge, techniques, and equipment to prevent personal, laboratory, and environmental exposure to potentially infectious agents or biohazards. It is critical to genetic modification in any society and vital to the technology's adaptation in relation to human health and the environment. Nigeria signed the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety in the year 2000. This formed the basis for the country to put biosafety structures in place. The Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety allows for adequate protection from potential risks of present-day biotechnology practices. Nigeria became the 111th country to ratify this protocol in the year 2003. The protocol requires the establishment of biosafety and regulatory measures by ratifying countries. This is an institution separate from the Biotechnology Promoting Agency to prevent compromise in the biosafety process. Nigeria domesticated this protocol through administrative and legal frameworks, which consequently led to the creation of a National Biosafety Management Agency. This followed the signing into law of Nigeria's Biosafety Bill in 2015.
Biosafety is a term that refers to measures and processes that reduces the effects and the potential effects arising from the use of genetically modified organisms. That's as it relates to biotechnology. Yeah. So these are measures and processes that we employ, to reduce any adverse effect that arises from the use of these products.
It's new to Nigerians, but it's not new worldwide. So in an effort to make that modern biotechnology, the technology to be safe, we have to put measures in place so as to ensure that Nigeria and Nigerians are safe from any effect that may arise from, or any potential effects that may arise from the activities of modern biotechnology.
The Biosafety Agency regulates modern biotechnology activities and their release into the environment. This includes handling and use of genetically modified organisms to prevent their adverse effect on human health.
This is where we actually detect, identify, and then quantify the amount of GM in a given product. And the reason we do this is to checkmate the influx of any unintended GM. Now, this, for example, I'll use an example with our ports. Now, the ports of Nigeria are very open, and we all know this. And so we want to ensure that any GM found within the Nigerian borders are safe for both humans and then the environment.
The Nigerian biosafety authorities are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring adequate field protection in the transfer, handling and use of genetically modified organisms.
At the initial stage, before any GM material, either crop, product, you understand, comes into Nigeria, you understand, it has to be confirmed safe before coming into the nation. One, let's talk about importation. Importation of products that have ingredients that may contain genetically modified crops or organisms, you understand, have to be certified safe. Even though they were certified safe from their country of origin, Nigeria has to certify them as what? Safe.
The biosafety measures are to ensure that practices, processes and procedures of modern biotechnology are undertaken within the limits of regulatory systems that guarantee safe use, protecting Nigeria's biodiversity.
We are telling Nigerians that when it has to do with GM, they have no reasons to fear. We have a very standard process that we are employing. We check for the genes of insert, we check for the effects on human health, and then we check for the effect on the environment. If a GM should be accepted by the National Biosafety Agency, maybe not accepted, if it's approved by the National Biosafety Management, you can be sure that it is safe for humans and the environment.
The biosafety authorities are as well involved in overseeing ongoing field trials of genetically modified crops in parts of the country to ensure their compliance with acceptable standards. The agency is also charged with the responsibility of giving approvals for confined field trials and licensing for commercial releases of genetically modified crops in the country. Dr. Rufus Ebegba is the Director General of the National Biosafety Management Agency. Agribiotech seeks audience with him on the country's biosafety activities. Now, what exactly is the role of this agency?
The National Biosafety Management Agency is a federal government agency established in the year 2015 with the sole aim of ensuring that the practice of modern biotechnology and the use of genetically modified organisms are regulated in a way that there will be no impact either from the part of the technology or its products, which are genetically modified organisms. So the agency is to protect the environment and human health from potential adverse impacts of modern biotechnology and its products, which are genetically modified organisms. Is to ensure adequate biosafety in the field of application of modern biotechnology.
Okay, now how important is this agency to Nigeria's needs at this time?
This agency is very, very important to the Nigeria economy and the general environment, from the point of the fact that over the years, the activities of modern biotechnology in Nigeria and its products are not regulated. So with the coming in of the agency, it has come up with opportunity for Nigerians to use the technology safely to drive the economy. In this modern world, science and technology are drivers of change. And Nigeria as a country, we are yearning towards a situation where we have green economy, where economic activities will be climate change. They will not cause climate change. We ensure that they're environmentally friendly. So with the agency creating the enabling environment to ensure safety, the biotech industry can now be used adequately to come out with products that will enhance economy. For instance, increase productivity in the agricultural sector, production of raw materials, and scientific and research in scientific endeavors.
Okay, now how much has this agency done in preparing Nigeria towards the adaptation of the GM technology?
The agency's responsibility is to assure Nigerians that there is a body established by government to ensure safety. So with that, we have tried as much as possible to sensitize the members of the public, have the discussions with major stakeholders that are involved in this endeavor to ensure that they follow the rules. And also those who will be using the products, they will also properly be briefed on the need for them to comply with the new act, which is the National Biosafety Management Agency. This law is here to ensure that the activities of modern biotechnology are safe and they follow particular patterns so that we can ensure safety. So the issue of sensitization is very, very key. It has actually been misunderstood that the National Biosafety Management Agency is established to stop GMOs. It is not so. The agency is to ensure that genetically modified organisms are safe for human consumption, animal consumption, and also to the general environment.
Okay, I know this agency has a detection and analysis laboratory. Now, what role is that lab going to play in this process?
The National Biosafety Agency Genetically Modified Organism Detection Analysis Laboratory is established basically to ascertain the status of products that are genetically that have been said to be genetically modified, and also to ensure that these products, we use the lab to do the simple tests to ensure that the products, the materials of insert of genetically modified organisms are safe and they do not really have any adverse impact on the environment. So the role of the agency is to confirm that a particular product is genetically modified, and also to ascertain that the gene of insert, that the material that has been added, is safe for human consumption, and also they do not actually have any adverse impact on the environment in the case they are released for planting or they inadvertently move into the environment, even though when they are not meant for such purpose.
Okay, I know some GM suspects have been tested in that laboratory. Will you tell us the findings of that test?
Yes, you see, right now we have quite a number of genetically modified organism suspects, also genetically modified food suspects, and we have collected samples, and the samples actually reveal that these products are genetically modified. But to what extent these products have been genetically modified, particularly the ones that have been processed. But as for the issue of whole grain or whole plants, there are few ones that we can really confirm that they are genetically modified. The ones that have been genetically modified that we have confirmed so far, particularly bulk shipment of maize that have been brought into this country. And we have taken steps to ensure that no one henceforth brings in any genetically modified food or grains or any material that are genetically modified into this country without permit.
Okay, so after these results, come out, and it's been proven that those suspects are actually genetically modified, what happens next? Because I know ordinarily a GM product should be labeled so consumers can make informed choices.
Yes. Incidentally, some of those GM foods that are in the lab, in the superstores, they are actually labeled to contain genetically modified ingredients. And we will continue to insist within our country, because this issue of GMOs, the assumption that they all be imported into this country is not a good thing, because we have research institutes and private concerns that will also be doing genetic engineering, and this will come out with these products which are genetically modified. So we must label, everything must be labeled, and there are consequences for products that are genetically modified that will not be labeled. So once we are able to determine this, like particularly the ones that we discover that are in the superstores, we are working closely with the NAFDAC to ensure that the ones that have been processed into food, we ensure that they are safe for the environment. If those that we confirm not safe, they will be withdrawn from the shelf immediately. And if you could remember, some months ago, we directed that all superstores that contain genetically modified food products must withdraw from the shelf.
How adequately empowered are you to effectively regulate this technology?
The agency has some of the best trained staff in Africa. I can say that boldly. Some of the staff of the agency have undergone various international and local trainings. And the agency, apart from the personnel, the competence of the personnel, the proficiency of the personnel, we also have guidelines, regulations, and the law is there that prescribe procedures and processes. Our National Biosafety Lab is also one of the best in Africa. We have, I think, maybe one or two other ones that have. And these their labs are not even operational, but our labs are up to date, and we have some of the best equipment you can use to detect and analyze genetically modified organisms and to ascertain their level. We also partner with both local and international bodies that we can always refer to in the case we want to have some further clarifications.
Okay, I know there are quite a number of confined field trials going on in research institutes. I know you've been to some of those institutes. What have been your findings on this?
Yes, some of prior to even the coming to existence of the National Biosafety Management Agency, under the Ministry of Environment, then some of these permits for confined field trials were granted. And when the agency came into existence, we had to reevaluate all those confined field trials to make sure that they are in conformity with the new act. And we have visited, before we actually grant such permit, we visit those sites. I will continue to visit those sites. We inspect and also monitor and for compliance to ensure that those products are not released to the environment. And it is for experiment, and it's for that, just for experiment. They are not to be consumed. All the materials must be properly disposed of. So those confined field trials, some have been there some have concluded, and some are still ongoing. We have the one that is still ongoing. We have two at the Institute of Agricultural Research in Zaria. We have that of cowpea, which is maize for insect resistance from 2009 up to date. They have been there. They have passed through various stages. And we also have the one for sorghum, which is guinea corn, for enhanced nutritional availability. And also we have another one at the National Seed Research Institute in Badegi for nitrogen use efficiency, water use efficiency, and salt tolerance. So and there are some that we have also granted. We granted another one to International for Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan, but that they have not commenced the operation. But that one is to delay in the breakdown of such post-harvest in cassava. Okay, I know this agency has come under a lot of criticisms by some activists on permits and licensing and all that. I don't know how you would react to that. Yes, this criticism will continue for a very long time. It's not only happening in Nigeria. Even in Ghana, they've taken the authority to court. And even in Nigeria, they have also taken us to court. But people have their various views. But when you are criticizing, as I've earlier said, criticize for the intent, for the purpose of good. Some of these criticisms are very unwarranted. They are just to vilify and to discredit the agency. And I tell you, there's a trade war going on. This trade war is basically between the agrochemical companies and the biotech sector. And we don't want to be part of that. We are supposed to be unbiased. Sometimes, when we grant permits, we just conclude that we are promoting the technology. We are like a quasi-judicial body. We have to decide based on verifiable scientific evidence we have. So the criticisms, some of them are very, very unwarranted, and they are all just out to malign and to try to see that the agency is intimidated. We will not be intimidated in the discharge of our responsibilities. All we want to let Nigerians know, we are here to protect them and to ensure that this technology is safe, and to ensure that whatever we confirm that is safe, we are sure of what we are doing. The essence is for good of Nigerians. We will protect them from any adverse impact. We will ensure that it's only what is good for Nigeria. That way we approve.
All right, thank you very much for joining us on the program. And I've been speaking with Dr. Rufus Ebegba. He is the Director General of the regulatory body for Nigeria's adaptation of the GM technology. And from here, I will be visiting this agency's detection and analysis laboratory. Stay with us. The GM Testing and Analysis Laboratory is situated within the National Biosafety Management Agency's premises, and it took just a few minutes to get there. It was here I met Miracle, a scientific officer, who offered to show me how the testing and analysis process for genetically modified specimens work. But first, I had to take on the identity of a laboratory scientist. Tell me about this laboratory.
Okay, this is the GM detection and analysis lab for the National Biosafety Management Agency. And here we carry out GM detection, identification and quantification of suspected GM products.
Okay, now what kind of research has been going on here so far?
Well, lots of research. Right now we have GM suspected materials that are still in the process of being confirmed. And we've also had recorded success like the Wakot maize that was recently worked on and confirmed GM in this laboratory.
Okay, could you take me through the process of analyzing these GM suspects?
Okay, in the lab we have a workflow, and the first thing, when the sample comes in, the first thing we do is sample preparation. So I'm going to be showing you a sample. So this rice bran, this is the sample have been processed. So all we just have to do is, after sample preparation now, we go onto DNA extraction. And for DNA extraction, in this lab, we employ 3 techniques. Number 1, we use the Zymo research kit. Number 2, we also use the CETA protocol, which is also known as this cetyl-trimethyl ammonium bromide protocol. Is a well-known, recognized protocol for extraction from plants. Then we also have an automatic way of extracting our DNA from our samples, and doing that we use the ExyPrep. So this is the ExyPrep machine that does automatic extraction of our DNA samples. Now, after extracting the DNA samples from our DNA from our samples, we check for the purity, the concentration, and the integrity of the sample. And doing that, we use the nanospectrophotometer. So this aids in checking for the purity of our sample, the concentration, and then for the integrity, we carry out agarose gel electrophoresis. So this is the electrophoretic tank that aids us in doing that. Now, after that has been done, we need to detect as well as quantify if the product is GM or not. Now, in doing that, we carry out the polymerase chain reaction. Now, we have the conventional PCR machine and the real-time PCR machine. Now, for the conventional PCR machine, it's like an endpoint analysis. We get our results at the end of the process. And after running our samples here, we check for the amplicons. Do we have certain sequences inserted into this plant? We check that using the agarose gel electrophoresis. Now, for the real-time PCR, the good thing about this is that for each process in the PCR reaction, we monitor what is being done. And it's unlike this that we need to go back and check using the agarose gel electrophoresis. Here, we get our result. And it also aids in quantification of the GM in that product. Now, having said that, if we use the conventional PCR machine, we need to view our bands after running it on a gel, and then we use the UV trans illuminator to view our bands. Now, this lab is not like in this lab we don't just discard our waste like that. We don't want to introduce novel genes into the environment. So before any waste is discarded, we make sure we sterilize using the autoclave. And then we also have our biosafety cabinet. Now this serves as a means of protection for the scientists that will be working. Of course, you wouldn't want to expose the scientists to any harmful chemical. For your preparation of reagents and every other DNA extraction, we do it in the biosafety cabinet. So basically, that's all we do.
Okay, and how long does this process take?
Well, in the lab here, we use an average of 4 days for analysis, starting from sample preparation down to, and we also validate. So we don't just after running the samples here, we just assume, okay, this is the result. We need to validate, compare our results with other standard labs too. Okay, so it can take like 4 days precisely.
Okay, and how thorough is the process that goes on here?
It's very thorough. Very thorough.
How authentic are these results?
Very authentic. I want to believe that you can reproduce this result in any other lab, standard lab in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talking about the capacity, how empowered, how knowledgeable, how much of these skills do the workers here have to actually carry out this process, effectively and professionally?
For the capacity, I would say we have staff with very high and good capacity. And one good thing about the lab as well as the agency is that they keep retraining the staff. We are not just left. We always keep retraining and upgrading ourselves with the new technology as it advances.
With what you've told me so far, are you saying Nigerians out there can trust, the analysis and findings that comes out of this laboratory on GM foods?
Yes, with the workflow I have shown earlier on, I am very confident that whatever is certified safe in this lab is safe anywhere in the world.
So thank you for joining us on the program.
You're welcome.
And that was Miracle. Miracle is one of the scientific officers attached to the Detection and Analysis Laboratory of the National Biosafety Management Agency. And at this point, we'll take a look at some more facts about the GM technology. Stay with us. And with that, we come to the end of Agribiotech for this week. Keep the mails coming on what you need to know about the technology. Our email address remains agribiotech1@yahoo.com. You could send us a tweet at agribiotech13 or visit our Facebook page, Agribiotech on TVC, to drop your comments. Let's do this again same time next week. I am Lara Afolayo. It's bye for now.